Okay, let's go. All right, everyone, welcome to the Abington Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee, Monday, April 14th, 2025, 5 PM, Abington Town Hall, Buckley Room. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And Suzanne has done the minutes, and I have it buried here someplace. Okay, Housing Trust Fund Committee meetings, March 10th, 2025. Everybody just take a quick look at these, make sure they're good.
Just a quick little E-L-L-E.
Yeah, Ellen is spelled wrong.
Ellen.
Just like I don't spell Glenn Cobbett's name or Nancy Reed's name right in the church council. That's not so. Okay. Updating North Abington meetings at Barton's Restaurant, which you can't attend any meetings in anymore for a while. My barber, who lives right, runs the shop right across the street, said he didn't know anything about it, Rick. Okay.
I make a motion to accept the March 10th, 2025 Affordable Housing Trust meeting minutes.
Someone second that, please?
I will second that.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, correspondence. I don't know, there's been a lot of emails and stuff like that. Kevin sent us stuff, and I've sent you guys stuff. I did, well, I'll discuss that later. So I guess we can get right into discussion of inclusionary zoning bylaws. So who wants to speak on this? Liz or Kevin?
I'll get you started. So as you can see, Kevin and I both did some research and came up with this information for you guys to read. So I guess we're looking for feedback on what the goal is, what you're trying to do.
Well, I know that Kevin sent out the, I can get it up here. He sent out, where is it?
This one, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
I took a look at it. Has anyone else had a chance to look at it? And any comments?
Yes.
Okay.
So what is, like, we've only discussed inclusionary. What about incentive housing? Is that something that we should consider as well, or should we stick with the inclusionary?
I mean, that's up to you guys. I mean, to do an inclusionary bylaw, it would be my suggestion that you hire somebody to write it. We have an inclusionary bylaw as part of our multifamily overlay district, otherwise known as the MBTA Community District. We included an inclusionary zoning as part of that when we adopted that, only because we didn't know how many, well, we didn't know how many units could potentially be created, but I guess if you're looking at a scale of housing, there's two ways to look at this. First, we need the affordable housing, and the second way is that for every housing unit we create, you're gonna need an affordable housing unit. It just keeps, it keeps jumping the number up. So we did include it in the MFOD because we anticipated that those would have some density to them. Because
What is
that's what this
MFOD?
multifamily overlay district, which
Oh,
is the
right, right.
MBTA community district.
Okay.
All of that is density building, that whole thing. They want you to create a lot of housing around your train station.
As opposed to the Muppet District, which is my favorite zoning
I
acronym in
know.
Abington, especially when Sean Riley talks about the Muppet District.
Right.
Is housing allowed in the Muppet District, or is that just industrial? It's all off of Chestnut Street, right?
Yes, and it was,
There was housing
it
allowed
was,
in
but
there.
we just changed it a week ago.
Okay. I should pay attention to that.
So
Want to explain
I
the
guess you
change to us?
guys don't, no, I don't want to explain the change, no. So
Kevin, you want to explain the change?
when we did the ADU bylaw last week, when that got adopted at town meeting, we also changed the table of use regulations. So any place that allowed single-family dwelling by special permit, we changed to a no. Because the state is requiring anywhere housing is allowed, by variance, by special permit, by waiver, however, whatever label you want to put on it, if you allow housing in a zoning district, like, let's take off something that's easy, industrial, our industrial zoning district. And so I'm just going on, I don't know what was allowed there. I think it was no, but let's say it was special permit. We changed it to no, because the state said if you allow it, then you can put an ADU there, as long as there's a principal building there. And there are principal buildings, there are homes in industrial zoned areas, there are homes in highway commercial areas. They may pre-existed the zoning, probably a lot on Route 18. There were probably houses there before we changed the zoning to highway commercial, years and years and years ago. So we changed it, it's either a yes or a no. It's either allowed 100% or it's not allowed. That's what we changed it to Monday night. To make it very easy on whether an ADU could go there.
I'll look at the warrant again. I remember discussing that at the meeting.
Yeah, we took out accessory apartments and then we changed that whole line that said where it was all allowed.
And it was amazing to me, and Joe Shea marked, I saw him recently, no one questioned any of the zoning.
It was a late night.
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
it-
chalking it up to it was a late night.
Well, I
Everybody
think- I
wanted to
think
go home.
I think this is on television, so we can give credit to Liz and Kevin for doing a great job. And of course,
Thank
a
you.
tremendous job of the planning board. and review.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anybody have any comments on what Liz is talking about?
So I guess that's what I would say. I think, Kevin, you pointed out that
So
this document,
I will point to, let's go to this document here.
Okay, yeah.
I recommend that if you haven't already, just reading through this, but you really get to the end and the conclusion does a really good job of summarizing everything, like everything you need to know in terms of inclusionary zoning. Inclusionary zoning, what you kind of really need to know with it is it mandates the developer to build. So it really, at the end of the day, doesn't yield much housing. What yields housing is incentive-based zoning. There's a distinction there. And that is, incentive-based zoning is basically, what'll happen is, oh, you can have X amount of units if, provided that they're affordable. Like a density bonus, if you've heard of what a density bonus is. So
Don't explain what a density bonus is.
a density bonus is essentially giving the developer more access to units for their proposed development, provided that they have a certain affordability cap, and provided that they meet the AMI requirement, average area median income. But the real principal fact of the matter is inclusionary zoning is big in cities like Cambridge, Boston, but it really is met by a lot of legal opposition and it's tied up in the courts sometimes, frankly. So it doesn't yield a lot of housing. What yields housing is incentive-based zoning. And that first document that Ellen was talking about, that kind of longer one with the
Is it this one?
little house on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of provides a run-through of the distinction on incentive versus inclusionary zoning.
So are you saying, so I thought Liz was leaning towards inclusionary, but you're saying incentive, because that's what I was
Yeah,
a little confused.
well,
with.
I did wanted to emphasize specifically too, in a town like Abington, I will say, it's my opinion that there won't be many units yielded should inclusionary zoning be adopted.
And inclusionary zoning might be a hard sell. I hate to say that, but,
Well, pretty much anything that we've tried to do has been hard.
well,
sell.
when
So
you
if we can get
attach
something
aff-
that's-
affordability to it,
Yeah.
people don't necessarily understand, and I don't know if maybe that's where you guys could start, is maybe to have some public engagement or meetings,
Yeah.
or like do a pop-up table at, when Abington celebrates, at the fireworks or anything like that, and maybe start to work on the connotation of affordability, and what it looks like. And we do have a really good example of that when we studied the center school. The Barrett Group did that.
The big Zoom.
Yeah,
and the
they did that.
breakout rooms and everything.
Yeah, and then they came back and they had that all laid out, like if, it was a teacher married to a dental hygienist, and this is what they can afford. And it's like workforce housing and affordable housing, and that, at this point in time, children who grew up here are priced out. They can't live here. And they're actually getting priced out, even moving further down Route 18. Like now they have to kind of leave the state. So it is awful. So I don't know if that's a place for you guys to start, is some education for people, because still, at planning board meetings, when this stuff comes up, affordability has a bad connotation. And I sort of understand where they're coming from over the years, it has been what it is, but we're in a different place and time now.
Well, when you explain, was it 80% of the per capita or family income for affordable?
The AMI, the area median.
Okay, area, yeah. And, to explain to people that that's still an awful lot of money.
Right.
To have an affordable house, because, I mean, probably the median price of a house in this town right now is about $500,000.
Yeah,
So you gotta have a pretty good income, even, with the 40Bs that we have, the big ones, 412 Summer Street, and, those are apartments, but rental units, 62 units at 161 North Quincy Street, and 50 affordable units at 412 Summer Street. You're still gonna have a pretty good income for
Right.
those things.
same at Woodlands. So I brought the SHI, because we were talking about this earlier. And we're counting 192 units, because you can count all the units, even though only a
Right.
portion of them are affordable. So there's 192 units, but not all of those, what is it, 20%? It might even be less. It might have been less, because I think they shrank the AMI when they did it. Where's Dan Crane when you need him?
Dan Crane would be very pleased. I gotta tell you this is an aside, but the last time Dan died, and you guys know who Dan Crane was. He was the town planner for a million years. And he was honored at town meeting, and he was my boss at Old Colony Planning Council for a very long time. Anyway, Dan died in August, but last time I saw him in July, I went to see him several times before he died. He said, "How's that Zero Summer Street coming along?" I said, "Bill." So Dan's got the best seat in the house now. He's looking
Right?
down at seat, Bill.
Well, that was a long haul, but their density, they had to lower their number of units because the town, it was too dense.
Right.
And there was something else.
Still looks
other
pretty dense to
meetings
me
we
when
went
you
to.
go by there.
Even what it is now, it's a lot.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
thought at
lot.
one time they
They
were,
wanted 3 buildings.
I thought at one time
And
they were gonna
5
build on both
stories.
sides of the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Parking
both-
on the
Both
street.
sides they were gonna be on, but, so the density does come up because
Right.
a couple of times with, I've been to meetings and it's like, it's too dense, you can't have, you know.
Right,
So, when you talk about that with the
with an incentive
the
bonus.
zoning incentive bonus,
I mean, I'm
You
sure there's a
know?
way you can work it out. That you can do it by the size of the parcel. I mean, I'm sure there's different ways that you can work out how you want to do that. And I would suggest hiring a consultant,
Somebody like
Yeah.
a Judy Barrett.
exactly like a Judy Barrett.
And keep in mind that this does have to go through a town meeting vote, I believe. Right?
Right,
That would make sense.
And,
yeah, because we're amending our zoning bylaw.
yeah, just keep, yeah.
Well, again, that's the education, it's the outreach.
A lot of times,
Yeah,
that's where they fail,
yeah.
but,
And it's not, and then if you do like density bonuses versus inclusionary zoning, I think you'd have a much harder sell with inclusionary zoning.
yes.
And then you'd have to
Because
come
the mandate part is.
Yeah, with a price, if you're not gonna, if they don't want to include an affordable unit, then they would have to make a payment in lieu.
And that's on the inclusionary.
On the inclusionary, you'd have to come up with what that is, and you'd have to kind of monitor that and make sure it was keeping up with inflation and,
But also, I'll point out, payment in lieu, if I remember correctly, you can substitute payment in lieu now with like contributions from a nonprofit organization that are related to housing. I think the state has let that slide in recent years. I think also one of these documents mentioned to that as well. I think payment in lieu is a little bit more flexible.
You'll
No.
explain, can you define payment in lieu, please, to the people watching this at home?
Payment in lieu, like monetary is like, monetarily is, Liz, how would you?
I would say, so say, for example, that somebody, say you were requiring inclusionary zoning, say it, we adopted it, and they want to build 4 units, and one of them, 25% of the project has to be an affordable unit, and they don't want it to be an affordable unit, then they can do payment in lieu of an affordable unit. So you guys would have a number already written down, so everybody's on the same page, everybody knows what the number is, and they could pay that into the trust
into the trust, yeah.
instead of creating that affordable unit as the 4th unit. So they would have 4 market rate units, and they would have made a deposit into the trust.
Is it a one-time deposit, or is it like every year or whenever?
No, it's a one-time
Okay.
deposit. Yeah,
Maybe what I read was like, instead of, the trust can decide, instead of it going into the trust, going to like a nonprofit, or going to, say, the Abington Housing Authority.
We'd like that.
But you know, this is an important discussion, because, I mean, I'll just be blunt, people at home, they see we get money from the town meeting every year for housing and stuff like that. And I think it's important, eventually, I think we will use, but right now, this payment in lieu is a function of this committee, and also supporting, or at least monitoring, the affordable housing units that are going up in town, because it all goes toward the inventory of affordable housing. You know, I get asked all the time, what's the, the affordable housing rate in Abington and stuff like that. We're under.
7.19.
Okay,
It's 7.19.
yeah, so we're below the 10%.
Somebody said 9.2 the other day, and I knew that was too high.
So we're missing some stuff on our
Yeah.
SHI.
It was up there when
It
they were
was.
counting in Plymouth Street.
Is that still
Glenn's.
counting Plymouth Street? Glenn's project
No.
that
No,
hasn't
not
happened?
the 7.
No, we can't add anything to our subsidized housing inventory until a building permit is pulled.
Right.
So for 12 Bedford Street, I've applied for that. I've applied to have those units added.
Summer Street?
Yes, because the building permit has been issued and they're building. So I have not heard back on that, but this is from last October, from EOLHC, which is the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. It used to be the Department of Housing and Community Development. This is their housing inventory from last October. And Summer Street's not on it, Glenn's is not on it, Glenn's can't go on anything until he pulls a building permit. But what's also missing are some Habitat for Humanity houses that I knew we had, but they're not on here. Like,
So that's the one where it has the 7.19?
yep,
So it's not including Summer, Plymouth, or,
at least 2 Habitat, at least 3 Habitat houses.
yeah, because we have,
The brand-new one,
yeah,
this is not on there,
Right.
and then there's one on
Wilbur and
Wilbur
Charles.
Street and Charles Street, and these aren't on there. So I have sent those in as well to be added. So our next update, should those all be approved, should include 412 Summer Street and then the 3 Habitat houses, which is going to change this number. And what happens is, when the census comes out every 10 years,
Yeah.
our numbers go kaflooey. So we were at 9 something, and then we had more building, which brought our, raised our threshold, and then the 2020 census came in.
This is good, I actually have a meeting with Jason DeRozier
Oh,
on
DeRozier, yeah.
April 23rd, 12:30, in case you guys, I know you're probably having lunch, but if anyone wants to sit on it. But, we're gonna discuss things, and it's important for him to know what's pending as far as affordable housing
Right.
units go. And stuff. And it's important. Could you just, make a summary of what you just said and send it out to us, please?
Sure.
That'd be great. And Susan, you don't have to put it in the minutes,
Yeah,
but it's
so-
good for us.
No,
for
um,
2020 is 9.9.
wow.
The secretary, you do the stuff for the planning board, now you do the stuff for us.
that's fine.
I'm chair of both committees, so why not?
2023, it was
Oh, okay, so that's what, the one that was just read.
7.9.
So you're looking at June 29th, 2023?
Yep. and
Yeah,
I have
so-
11/14/2023. I have the inventory here.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have June
those are
29th,
those.
2023, and
Yeah.
7.19, 489 units. Yeah,
Have
that's, so,
Somewhere in this. then.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
takes the 2020 census number, and then that ends up wherever we were, we get bumped right back down. I will say, 412 Summer Street, I think gives us, and there's a specific term for it, and I cannot remember right now, I don't know if you remember it, but it gives us like a year where we can say no. So it's like a harbor, we're in safe
Safe
harbor or
harbor?
some, safe harbor, I
Oh,
think is
yeah,
what it
if
is.
that puts you over if you're at the 10%.
Right.
Um,
Actually, I'm not even sure we need to be at the 10%. I think it's just because we have one going in right now, but we,
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
When I read up on it, it was like, once you reach the 10%, you're safe harbor, so you
Right.
can say no to.
permanently,
You can say no.
until the number changes again, until the 2030 census comes out,
Yeah, but, I
or
mean,
until another huge complex goes up.
but I mean, you look at what we went through with that complex.
Right.
And
Right.
they were not
Nice.
nice at all to anybody, and they did nothing for the town, nothing.
No.
We asked for sidewalks, we asked for signage, we asked for, no, we don't have to do that.
So they really put the unfriendly and the
Yes,
unfriendly.
and
word
they
big.
would say right in the beginning, no, we don't have to do that, so we're not going to.
And they kind of don't.
I know, but
As you know, I get it.
I know, it was.
Would have been easier for them to maybe have said, sure, we'll do those
I
sidewalks
mean,
for
we
you.
were all at the meetings, and that was just a prime example of,
Right.
an unfriendly 40B. I mean.
Right. Well, fingers crossed that North Quincy Street goes a little better.
Yeah.
Well,
Right?
he
Well,
met
they-
with us, and
Yep.
he seemed very reasonable. and,
Yeah.
I was explaining to some of the folks, when I was in grad school, not that long, 2007, I did a paper, there was 240Bs in Abington. One was off of Linwood Street, I think, and the other one was in the Westerfields.
Oh, George
And-
Gillespie?
Yeah,
Yep.
and they built like twice as many houses in the one off of Linwood Street as opposed to the one off of Westerfields.
Yep.
And I remember getting town records, and it was like, well, okay, you're on the planning board, I'll give you the record. But it was, I'm gonna see if I can find the paper. If
Yeah.
I ever find the paper, I'll show it to you guys. But I thought that was a good example of what happens there.
Yeah, do you guys want me to send you the slide deck from that center school project we did? Which lays out how that affordability and workforce housing
Sure.
went? I mean, it's good information.
Thank you. I appreciate you
Yeah.
doing all this work.
Oh, no worries. I should have it fairly quickly. I'm going to run to another meeting. I'm going to leave Kevin here. But before I go, the other thing is Jason is working on our housing production plan, and he saw in the state earmark from the Affordable Housing Act that there was earmarks for Shar Ave and Lincoln Boulevard. And when I reached out to that office, the money only comes in, one of it was $500,000, and I think the other part, they renovated the rumpus room.
They did the community rooms. over,
Community
but that
room
was
over,
state
rumpus room.
mandated, because
Okay.
That was to make it ADA compliant.
All right, so the state paid for a portion of that?
They paid for all of it.
Okay. So then there's another 500,000, it was for design, permitting, engineering, construction of new units. That money is in a bond though, and if they bond the money, so he said it didn't look too hopeful that that was gonna happen, but it dawned on me that that may not be a bad partnership for you guys. I'm not quite sure how it would work, but, I know you're interested in, and I'm not sure that you could restrict it to senior housing. I know that's something you guys have been interested in the past, but that may not be a bad thing, to at least talk to them about.
So I talked to Jason about it?
No, so I didn't know if you guys as a group
Oh,
wanted to talk to the director who's in, Brockton.
Tom Tebow.
Yep. Is
Oh,
that
yeah,
his
I know
name?
Tom. I
Yeah,
used to do, when I worked at Old Colony, I used to do
Yeah.
utility allowances for housing authorities.
is he
And I got-
coming?
He came to a meeting
Oh, okay.
before.
Could we get him to come to one of these meetings now that I'm chair?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, reach out.
request it.
I know Tom,
Um,
I could reach out to him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to email you to get more information on that.
Okay.
I didn't fully understand everything that you just said, and I wanna.
Oh, yeah, so it was,
Yeah, I'll
when
just
they did
email.
the Affordable Homes Act.
Yeah.
They are borrowing some money, and they voted to borrow money within that, but they haven't borrowed it yet. And he said it doesn't look too good that they're actually gonna borrow the money,
Okay,
that they were listed in getting.
okay.
So he doesn't think they'll get the $500,000 to do that. But when I was having that conversation with him, I said, oh, I don't know why. Maybe this would be a good group to talk to. I have no idea what you could or couldn't do with them, because they're a state agency and you're a town agency. I'm not sure you can do anything at all.
Yeah, well, we can reach out to him and see.
But yeah, I didn't know if you could have a conversation and see maybe where it
think
went.
so.
I think Tom is also not a director of Housing Authority. I think he's also a fellow MBA grad at BSU. So
Ah,
I
there
could
you
reach- I
go.
could reach into the old school time.
There you go. All right, if there's anything you guys want, you can let Kevin know, and we'll get that stuff together. I'll get that for you together tomorrow.
And that information that we would reach out to Tom, could you send me a summary on that too? So I
Yep.
know what I'm talking about when I call him?
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, you're gonna do it?
Well, if you want,
Okay.
did you reach out to him before?
Tom Tebow is our executive director for Abington.
Okay, then you,
So, yeah.
please.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys figure that out. Lots of things.
I have lots of hats.
Yeah, he partners with Abington. The state allowed him to do that, and it's a great partnership.
He's a great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Oh, you got it.
Okay, so, I guess, so we've discussed the inclusionary zoning bylaws, thank you, Liz and Kevin. Kevin, you want to do an update on the ADU past town meeting warrant article? Just give a brief update on it.
Yeah, I mean, it passed overwhelmingly. I mean, there was no opposition to the zoning article at town meeting. And we had a working group to come up with this with the building commissioner, the assessor, deputy assessor, and some planning board members, and also members of the zoning board in the planning office to come up with the text and everything, and also with our town council. and we did a good job because it passed. So, we'll see. We'll see the state's law supersedes everything. So we'll see how it competes with the state, because the state could just shoot it down and say, no, you're following the state accessory dwelling unit bylaw. But, yeah, it was successful.
Liz said, I talked to Liz about it, she said there's like 7 of them at least in the works right now in Abington.
Yes, there's 7, as of last week, yes, there were 7 accessory dwelling unit building permits.
Does that affect our numbers when it comes to like affordable housing? It's like, would the unit go towards counting towards like the primary unit, or would it be its own separate?
Its own separate,
Okay.
yeah.
Can you tell us like a little bit, like the units that are going in, are they like separate units or? are
Of the
they
7,
attached,
of
or-
the 7 right now, I think that I know of personally, there are some that are like garage, like like attached garage units.
Yeah,
I don't know many that are detached. I think a lot of them right now that have been pulled are like attached structures.
but they would be able to do that if they
Yeah.
wanted like a little, what do they call them, little granny pods or something?
Yeah.
like, Out in the back, if you have the square footage to do it.
Up to 900.
Up to 900 square feet. It really is, it really is meant for a one bed, one bath.
And they
That's
have,
basically what they're meant for.
Yeah.
They're really meant for a senior that wants to live with their primary family. Although there is a clause that says like the primary owner doesn't have to be the at least landlord of the rental unit. I'm sure you all know that by now. So, I mean, that kind of is the intention from EOHLC 's mind, I think, from doing this in the first place, and from the governor's mind, is for older adults, for young professionals that can't afford a home, that don't want to rent, that don't want to stay in the suburbs. But we'll see how it goes. Still very early. It's seven's apartments is actually kind of a lot. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Didn't we have an issue, was it in Plymouth, with ADUs? I don't know, were they being used like as Airbnbs or something like that? Was that?
It's not allowed here. It's prohibited. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Airbnbs aren't allowed at all in Abington.
Okay, I know there was something in Plymouth and it was with the ADUs, I can't remember, it was months ago, and I know that they were
Yeah.
trying to circumvent around it. and
I mean, I'm
figure
sure every town tries to circumvent the rules
out- Yeah, I
at
think,
some point.
I think it was just,
we
some-
always go by the rules.
I think it was just some things that were being done that, I don't know if they didn't have a regulation on it or something,
Yeah.
or they were kind of hoping to regulate a little bit more, because it was getting kind of.
Yeah, I don't know their rules or whatnot, but I know for Abington specifically, we are not letting anybody, ADU or any other dwelling do Airbnbs.
It can't be done, is
It
it?
can't be done. Yeah, so.
Do you think there's ever a chance that that might be changed? Or is the sentiment completely against it?
I personally don't know, but Liz and I were in the office last week, and we did see somebody trying to rent their property as an Airbnb, and we had to tell the assessors, and they're gonna go look it out.
That was a
look
big
out for
issue
it.
in Quincy, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I live in Quincy. I know
Yeah,
about
there was
that.
an issue in Quincy
Yeah.
too, yeah.
And there's ADUs everywhere in Quincy, but it's not really an issue because it's been like that for a long time. So.
Okay.
It's a city, though. It's not a town. I should emphasize that. It's not a town. It's a city.
Well, Quincy has, it's a guy, it's not a kid anymore, he was a kid when I worked. One of the planners in Quincy was an intern, only playing Castle years ago. and I can't remember his name now, but I'm sure he's doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born there, and I lived there for about a week before we moved to Abington, so I'm not a townie. So, okay, that's great, thank you. Update on town meeting warrant articles, CPA funding, we got it, which is
Yep.
great.
250.
And do we have any idea of how much has been totaled up in the pot over the years?
The last time I checked, there was 342,000, I think, something like that. I can find the email. But he was still awaiting some more funds to be transferred over. I'm just getting Habitat emails right now. But it was either, I think it was 342.
Mhm.
And there was more money coming, and then this 250 will be added to it.
Mhm.
So I can ask what the balance is. Let me,
Okay. Well, just, it's good for us to have that
yeah.
information available, because I couldn't believe it. There were people who questioned CPA funding. Well, I remember they went off on the Snack Shack and a few other
I don't,
things.
well, part of it is, I think people don't understand what CPA
Yeah,
funds really
yeah.
are.
Yeah, Rachel Collins really had to do a good job.
Yeah,
I was sitting behind Kelly, and I said, "You gonna go up?" She said, "No, Rachel will come out and explain it." So, but anyway, that's good. That's good, thank you, Ellen.
Welcome.
Okay, construction, discussion, I really went all out for this one. Discussion of under construction 40B apartment complex at 412 Summer Street. I went online and saw some pictures of it. It's, how many units total on that one, do you know, Pam?
I think it's 191.
Of which are 50 are affordable?
Is it 50 or is it 40 something?
Well, I got the number from the building inspector, and he told
Okay,
me 50.
good.
50?
Yeah, I know the numbers were fluctuating,
Yeah.
the number of units, it was going back and forth, and, so that's good, so I thought it was 191.
I think you're right,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be about 25%.
Yeah, yeah.
My wife and I saw several trucks a few weeks ago bringing the prefab sections to that site. So the building inspector told me that he thinks it's gonna be done by the end of the year, so,
They're working really
Yeah.
fast over there.
yeah. Anybody watching this at home, take a ride down the train station and see this thing, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I can't
Very busy
remember.
construction
I
site.
forget what they said the rents were gonna be, but they're up there, it's up there.
Yeah,
And,
expensive
yeah, people have to
units.
also understand it's not subsidized affordable housing
Right.
like senior housing
Right.
is,
yeah.
or Section 8.
Right,
There used to be, on the corner of North Quincy Street and Chestnut Street, part of that was subsidized
Oh,
housing.
oh, the 500 North Quincy?
Yeah, and then that was only for a certain period of time, that went over. It seemed like every senior, I'm not gonna call them old ladies, but seniors in my church lived there at one time. And, but that's all gone away, unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was, I should look into that when these things are granted, it's a certain time limit and stuff like that, but that would be good to know, too. I just remember reading that. And then, I guess before, I was on this committee, but I was off the committee, and there was a presentation in November, you said, about 161 North Quincy Street?
Yes,
And Kevin and I, and one of the fire captains, and building inspector, and representative from the state, and several representatives from the proponent met there. There's a house there now. I guess the people who own the house run Yaz's restaurant here in Abington. So it's like if you just want to see the site, it's like it's a driveway right immediately past the gas station in Brockton. And you go in there, and it turns out that it's gonna be beside the Gables. It's gonna be right beside each other. But, he explained that they had done a presentation for this committee, and Ellen has given us the link, so we can take a look at that.
so there's a house right out in
Yeah.
front?
No, back, you go in the driveway,
Oh, yeah,
and there's a house in there,
oh,
and a big garage and stuff. They were pretty cool about us being there. 'Cause they're gonna
but
buy-
that's not part of the 40B.
No,
Okay.
no, that's all gonna go away. And it's pretty muddy back there. Kevin was wearing street shoes,
Oh, yeah.
and I was wearing white sneakers. So I whipped out.
So the houses, they're taking the house down?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so they must have bought the house. then.
yeah, they bought the house and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so,
Never knew that.
yeah,
There.
so that's gonna be interesting when that's all done. So is that in permitting, or does anybody know what the story is with that?
I don't believe so.
Was anybody here?
They were looking to get a letter of local preference
Yeah.
from the planning office. And we reached out to him, and he has not reached back out to us for that. So that's where it is with us.
It's funny, because
It's a zoning board thing, because it's a friendly 40B.
it all goes through the ZBA.
Yeah.
Won't go before the planning
Mhm.
board, but,
I have it right here.
yeah.
I can get copies.
Yeah, please. Or just, if you, do you have that in the form of a thing you can email us?
I don't know. They handed it to us.
Mhm.
Liz, there's an email from Liz here attached, and I'll keep this pulled out and I'll see what I can do.
I can scan, I might have this to you guys. Do you guys have this?
This is the.
Oh, you already have
Yeah.
this. Mike, do you have this?
I don't think I have a copy of that.
Oh,
one.
that's
I can scan this to
And
you.
Bruce doesn't have it
I
either.
don't think I brought one. Oh, maybe I do.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Another thing to add to my giant folder.
Mhm.
But yeah, Kevin, if you could do that.
Yep.
for us, that'd be great.
I was gonna see if the emails showed a link to
Or
it.
if the email shows it, that'd be great. Yep. So it would be good, for this committee
I don't
to
think
reach
there
out
is.
to them and find out what the timeline is and stuff like that. So that's something we'll be doing.
So Kevin, you're gonna send it out
I can send this out to Mike.
and to Bruce.
And, oh, you don't have it? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll send it
no,
first.
Bruce is new on the committee too.
Again.
New.
Was on
Oh,
the
and we should
committee.
introduce Mike. Yeah.
Hey, Mike. Oh,
Hello.
hey, everyone. Mike Cottage. Hello, everyone in TV land. This is our new member, Mike. And Mike, you want to explain a little bit about yourself and what your interests are?
Interest towards affordable housing.
Yes.
I think I'm just a person who sees a lot of issues in communities around that. Cost of living is a huge issue, and living wage doesn't necessarily meet the cost of housing. Paid wage doesn't meet living wage, so this is something that I thought I would hop on and help with. I've been in town. I bought my first home here about 3 years ago, and I'm very happy to be here. And I'm also election worker, so you might see me around there.
Don't forget to vote on April.
Don't forget to vote on April 26th.
26th. It's town election.
I'm going to be out of town.
I think
Vote
there's,
early,
yeah, it shouldn't take long. I think there's only one contested
Yeah.
but there are a couple
position, but there's a
questions on it.
couple questions and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm just disappointed I won't get a Wayne dog.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all. I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Very happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
For stepping up.
Thank you for being helpful, letting me get caught up. I'm still catching up.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's
Yeah.
lots of-
But I went to the seminar that Bruce is talking about.
Well, I'm going to segue into
They,
that.
they had a lot of good things to say about Abington. There was one person a lot who mentioned Abington and all the good things they've done.
Well, it's been a long, it was, Zero Summer Street was a long slog.
Yep.
And again,
Yes.
again, I've been on the planning board forever, and, we talked about those two friendly 40Bs and stuff like that. So, Abington has a good history of inclusionary zoning and stuff like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the housing inventory, do we have more multifamily units than single-family units?
I wouldn't say that totally. I would say maybe it's kind of balanced. There are a lot, but like when you look at I guess projects wise, yes, there's a lot of units on there that are multifamily.
I think.
But there are single family ones that are on there as well, like the Habitats. But there are, again, some missing, as Liz mentioned earlier. But yes, there are a good mix of single family and multifamily. But the multifamily obviously are gonna yield a lot more units than,
Well, I think we only had 4 A&Rs, approval not requires.
Yeah.
And last year.
Yeah.
On the planning board, and that's generally involving single-family homes.
yeah.
So we used to have a lot of A&Rs. I remember when Russ Wheatley was the engineer representing developers, it seemed like he was always bringing us A&Rs and stuff like that. And then we got Glenn LaPointe, he wanted to build a intense development on the road that goes by the back of the air station. And former air station, and he just wound up building 4 single-family
Oh,
houses.
Rosalind Street on
Yeah.
the Spruce there.
Yeah, I voted against that and a couple of, because, you know, it was crazy, I thought. But, you know, I have to be objective as a member of the planning board, but you also recognize when a project is bad. And, you know, I voted against it. But I also voted against houses being built behind the recreational complex over there by the high school. And I was overruled by members of my fellow planning board. And my concern is, those houses, is that in the future, somebody could hear all the noise from the concerts over there and start complaining about it. We did, you know, get it into developers' thing that, you know, they would let people know about it. I thought that was a good reason to object.
Where are you talking about, Bruce?
There's behind the track and all that, there's a bunch of houses that were built over there. There's,
Like Grant Place, Grant's
yeah,
Place?
there's a bunch of streets back
Off a
there.
shop?
Beyond, I
Yeah.
think you go up around where Shaw Ave splits and goes around.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think it's up
and they
there.
border the recreation complex.
Oh.
And my concern, and their attorney yelled at me. He didn't say nice things at me. I wasn't chair of the planning board, but,
Oh, where those woods are.
yeah, he was like-
Behind the
it's like, what do you
Okay,
know?
yep. Oh, okay, Christensen Circle and those.
It was like, what do you
Yeah.
know, Hughes? I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I've been a professional planner forever. But the board in their wisdom passed it, and I think they regret it. Anyway, I digress. Okay. All right.
I have a question actually. Back to, we were talking about the single family, multifamily. When a place adds an ADU, does that get reclassified as a multifamily or not? Since it's just like a,
It does not
Okay.
get reclassified as a multifamily.
I wasn't sure.
Uh,
All right, next thing I want to bring out was the update on Affordable Housing 101 chapel webinar, March 18th, 2025. And I think I sent the handout to all of you guys. I think we got that from Chapa. And if I didn't, do you all remember getting this?
I think we got it. I think you
Okay,
sent it to us.
all right. I'm not going to take the time to go through this. Michael, you went to this one.
Yeah, I was there.
It was very impressive, I
Yeah.
thought. And, you know, so, you know, it's good. I think the more educated we, as members of this committee are, so when someone walks up to you in Trucci's and said, hey, what's going on with affordable housing? We can give us a
Yeah,
video.
I pretend I'm someone else. So,
I actually have conversations like that.
Yeah.
And my wife was going like, okay.
no, it was very informative. And anyone that wants to get like interested in affordable housing stuff, I think they post that, right? Or maybe that was just to us because we're members. But I mean, a lot of the people that were in the call, I think there was like close to 100. A lot of them were asking questions too. So, you know, I was trying to catch up. I was trying to Google what some things meant when it was going on, but people were asking questions that like really helped explain stuff, and they lay out in kind of like a simple way that you can get digest it all.
Well, again, one of my goals as the chair of this committee is to have each and every one of us be as knowledgeable on this subject as we can be, so we can be prepared to answer questions and be an advocate for affordable housing in the town. You know, because again, people can say, hey, Hughes, you guys get all that money from CPA every year, what are you doing?
And it was also interesting to see the issues that other towns had around too, compared to our town. And some people would have like solutions for another town and stuff like that. That you know, it makes sense. So I don't know. It was a good learning opportunity.
Yeah, that was great. And it wasn't that long either, was it?
Yeah, it was like an hour, maybe a little bit, maybe 2.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about tonight, and I really gave you guys a lot of stuff. I handed out the photocopy of the back of this, the 18th Mass Housing Partnership Housing Institute. It's 2 days. June 4th to 5th, 25. Intensive two-day training engages participants in discussion and problem-solving activities related to the development of affordable homes across Massachusetts on 3 tracks. Planning and policy, affordable housing development, outreach and advocacy. Other activities include site visits and neighborhood, I think it's gonna be out in the western part of the state, I think.
It's in Western.
No.
Yeah, so I'm retired, I can go to those things if my wife lets me, so, but, you know, just, you have a thing on the back of this that you can scan to get more information on this. So, check
I
it
think I
out.
got an email on
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I went last year. I'll go with my Chapa friends.
So how was it?
Oh, it was fun. Yeah. I know a good amount of people, like in the housing world, so that are in Chapa, MAPC.
Do you know if they make it like available online to like view, or is it only in person?
I think like the next year. I think
Okay.
last year's is on the Chapa
Okay.
website now.
I'll check it out.
I think their materials are on, or, oh, sorry, it's MHP, not Chapa. If you go on MHP's website, you can see what was covered last year at that conference, so you can get a sense of what was going on. They're gonna post the agenda for this year's in the coming weeks, so,
Thank you.
yeah. It's a worthwhile experience,
Yeah.
only for me because
Spam.
I got,
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm leaving my phone.
I like the topics discussed because I'm really big into housing, but I also, I have some friends
Yeah.
from professional networks.
It seems
that go.
interesting. I just wish, like, tough on weekdays to get there, but maybe some year.
Well, it's like when I go to CTPC, Citizens Planner Training Collaborative Conference, and I've gone to all 21 of them. And mostly when I went there, I was working in planning, but it's like a family reunion. for
Oh, yeah.
All your friends in planning when you go there. And I thought we had a great table this year. Kevin and Liz and myself and people from Old Colony Planning Council, including Jason, sat at the table together. And we had a good guest speaker in the morning. That was state representative who is Kristen Kastner, I think was the
Yes,
and she, you know, she's a EICP planner, American Institute of Certified Planners. So that means all the initials that mean something. I never did ACIP, I should have. I would have made a lot more money. But, yeah, so that was great. It was a great conference. And every year I try to persuade members of the planning board to go to it. It's just a Saturday in March. And you got to go because you're in Holy Cross alum.
oh, yeah.
And Sean Riley went one year, and again, he was all across. But anyway, I always advocate for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some things to look at for the next meeting. And I've got to look at the thing that you sent out for 161 North Quincy Street, stuff like that, monitor that. And of course, if we have anything that shows up at the planning board and stuff like that, let you guys be aware of that. And does anybody have anything else they want to talk about tonight?
I have been in touch with Habitat for Humanity on an update for the newly purchased home. They're working on a timeline right now. Noreen Brown, who I was dealing with, and she's still working on it, she is actually transferred down to the Cape Cod office because it's closer to her home. But she will still be working on it with us. So the executive director, Erin, has told me that they are putting together a timeline on when things are going to be starting, and they will be, she will be back in touch with me when they have that done.
It might be nice sometime in the future to have someone from Habitat come, because we put it in our annual report that was in the town meeting, town annual report, which I wrote. And it would be good to have that and see people on TV to hear about that. Because people seen that street off of Summer Street. At least they cut down the tree that was in front of
Yeah,
them for a long time.
almost into the house.
And what else? Hey, this has been a great meeting tonight, folks. Thank you. Lots of content, a lot of good content. Things for us to work on, homework and stuff like that. And we'll just try to keep the members of this committee engaged and the folks at home, give them something to watch. So anyway, do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. thank you, everyone, for attending. Thanks for watching
you.
at home on TV. Happy Easter, and all that stuff.